What is good? I am fucking exhausted. This kid is a lunatic. Can't get her off this damn pacifier, man. It's like fucking baby heroin. Hey. Relax. Oh, this is like my... I don't even know what attempt at making this fucking video. It's so fucking annoying. It's a fucking stupid video to begin with. Let me just air that fucking grievance real quick. I wasn't even going to make the fucking video, but this afternoon, McFly posted a tag video in which he said, respect the tag. So I've decided to heed his warning and respect the tag, even though this tag video is completely unrelated to the one he posted. The one he posted I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. That said, I really enjoyed his video, so if you haven't checked out McFly, get over to his channel and check out his latest tag video. It was actually a lot of fun to watch, and he was very tasteful about it. I just feel bad for that blind kid. But this tag video, I was tagged by ScoombagMartin. I'm just going to call him Martin because I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce fucking Scoombag. And I like him. Martin is a good guy. I've recently started watching his channel. He seems really cool. He's got great taste in games. Are you tired? Oh my god, she might take a nap. And yeah, so I really enjoy his content, so I don't know. Whatever. I'll do the video, even though I think the fucking video is a stupid, fucking terrible idea. He was tagged by Derek H., another great YouTuber. You should check out his channel. But the tag is like the best 5 games you played in 2015. Here's my fucking problem with that. There's still a month and a half left in 2015. Fallout just came out. Battlefront comes out this week. I know a lot of people are just gonna ride the fucking shit out of the Battlefront dick. So I mean, there's still games like on the horizon. Like, this would have been a decent tag video in January, but in November it's fucking stupid. But I'm gonna play nice and just do the damn video. That said, I'm not gonna choose any games that came out in 2015. In fact, I'm just gonna talk about DS games, and I'm gonna talk about more than 5 of them. I have 6. This is my top 6, which even that is kind of a lie. You'll see why in a minute. So yeah, here we go. Hooray for tag videos. But definitely check out Martin's channel. Cool guy. He's not at fault for the fucking shitty video. But I don't know. I don't even know who fucking started it. I really don't even care. So, number 6. Oh, and I do want to say, these are just DS games that I played for the first time this year, or else the Dark Spire and Solitaire Robo would be on this list, but those are games I just replayed this year. Anyway, number 6 is Thor, God of Thunder, original name. This game, with this cover and that exact subtitle, came out for everything, PS3, 360, Wii, 3DS, and DS. The DS version is the only one worth playing. It's the only one developed by WayForward. The other versions are fucking awful. This version is great. It kind of reminds me a lot of Contra 4 on the DS, also developed by WayForward. Very similar level design and graphics. It's a 2D side-scroller, just like Contra 4, except instead of a run and gun, it is a beat-em-up. Because obviously Thor swings a fucking hammer, so he's more of a melee focus character than, you know, using a spread gun or some shit. Great controls, really, really great level design. It uses both screens, just like Contra 4, which I really enjoy. It looks gorgeous. Obviously, a lot of inspiration was drawn from the Metal Slug games, at least in my opinion. Like I said, tight controls. My main gripe with this game is actually the story and the dialogue. There's just too much of it, and it's fucking cringeworthy. But I played it for the gameplay, and it was great. I had a lot of fun with this game, and it's really cheap. You can get it for like $4 at GameStop. Number 5 is Avalon Code, and I'm only about a fifth of the way through this game. But what I've played so far, I've really enjoyed it. Actually, I I don't know what it reminds me of, to be honest. It's like an action RPG, but you have this book, and you can just slap shit with the book, and it, like, indexes it. And the first time I did it, I just cracked the fuck up when I, like, indexed this monster. You just like, slap shit with this book. It's awesome. But there's this big book that, like, you navigate is, like, your menu system. And at first, I thought it was kind of, like, convoluted and weird. But once I got used to it, it's, like, it's pretty cool. Definitely original. And I actually am loving this game, like, more than I thought I would. I've been having a lot of success with DS this year. This has been, like, the year for DS for me, just, like, finding really great games and playing them and having a blast with them. And this is no exception. Published by Xseed, but developed by Marvelous. I'm a big fan of Marvelous. I pretty much like everything they've done that I've played. Some of their stuff isn't the best, but I don't know. I do have a soft spot for them. And this, I think, came out in 2009, and I tried to get this game, like, 2 years ago from Amazon. I bought it. The seller never shipped it. It was supposed to be, like, a sealed copy. It was, like, $40. Seller never shipped it, so that was a huge fucking pain in the ass. I had to, like, file a complaint and, like, try and get my money back. It was a nightmare. It took forever. And then I, like, didn't even want to play the game. But then, by hapstance, I came across a loose copy in GameStop for way less than it goes for on eBay. Picked it up, and I wasn't really thrilled about having it loose. And Bublin just recently sent me this complete copy. So shout-outs to Bubs for the plug, and really motivating me to play a game that I've just had kicking around loose for a while. Fantastic. It is kind of hard to find. I mean, I've only seen the one copy, the loose copy. That's the only copy I've ever seen in a store. And there's usually not, like, a ton of them around on, like, Amazon and shit. I'm sure there's thousands of them on eBay or whatever. But, kind of pricey, kind of hard to find. But from what I've played so far, the aesthetic, the mechanics, it's all good. And I'm really liking it. But I will say the story, again, on this one seems a little lackluster. And that's going to be a theme for a lot of these games, which just goes to show, for me, for, like, handheld games, like, it's really not so much about the story as it is, like, the mechanics and the gameplay. I think when I'm playing, like, a console game, I'm, like, more concerned about being, like, really immersed in a story. But on a handheld, don't get me wrong, I love a great story, but on a handheld, I feel like it's more of a pick-up-and-play thing, so story's not that important to me, unless it's, like, a visual novel or something that, you know, obviously should have great fucking story. The next game is actually, I consider it to be kind of a loose trilogy, and that is the Renegade Kid trilogy on the DS, which is Moon, Dementium, and Dementium 2. All really great first-person shooters. Now, I will say I think Moon is my favorite for the simple fact that I really just like the atmosphere, the whole sci-fi. It's creepy. I don't know, I just think that this one is my favorite. The Dementium games are good, but something about Moon, and I think Moon kind of has, like, for what little story there is, I enjoyed Moon's better. So I think Moon is definitely my favorite of the trilogy. And an interesting thing about the Dementium games is that Renegade Kid actually proposed to make a Silent Hill game for the DS. And they approached Konami about it, and Konami, of course, shot them down. But Renegade Kid was relentless, and they approached them time and time again. And they actually got a sit-down with Konami, and I think they went into this meeting feeling pretty good about it, and Konami sat there for, I guess, well, whoever decided to speak with them for, like, a few minutes and just shot them down again. So they never did get the rights to the Silent Hill franchise, which I think is a fucking shame. So they went ahead with the Dementium idea, and they went so far as to even kind of reference Silent Hill on the box art. It says, "This is Doom 3 meets Silent Hill, be afraid." I wouldn't say it's really either as good as either of those franchises when they're at their best. Can be better when they're at their worst. But still a really good playthrough, really creepy, tight controls. I will say Dementium 2 is a huge improvement over Dementium 1. I really felt that Dementium 1 sound design was just grating on my ears and had a lot of inconsistencies with how it affected atmosphere. But Dementium 2 improved upon that big time, and I would definitely recommend the entire trilogy, and they're all really, really cheap at GameStop, like 99 cents to $3. So if you can track them down on the app, definitely worth playing. Well, this is number 3, yeah. Number 3 is Drone Tactics, another game I really didn't expect to play. And much like Dementium and Moon and Avalon Code and Thor, the story didn't do much for me. Again, it was all about gameplay. This is kind of like the childlike wonder of Pokemon meets the gameplay of Advance Wars. That said, I'm not crazy about either one of those franchises, but for some reason, the mechanics are so strong in this game, and when I say that the menu system in this game is phenomenal, like I'm not kidding. The menus are so easy to navigate. They make the mechanics in this game an absolute joy to play through. And if you like strategy games like Advance Wars and to some extent Fire Emblem, though I don't think it's nearly as in depth as Fire Emblem, you could do a lot worse than Drone Tactics. The story, admittedly, is pretty childish and kind of cringeworthy and tropey. But after, the halfway point, I did start to care about some of the characters. And some of the characters are obviously more well-rounded than others. But a lot to like about this game, a lot of customization. Like I said, fantastic menu system. Sometimes with strategy games, the menu system can really break the game for me if it's difficult to navigate or just really, really bland, like just pure text and nothing else. It can really cut down my enjoyment quite a bit. But Drone Tactics was a blast to play through, and it was developed by Success, published by Atlas. Atlas, I always say that. That's the name. Well, I'm tripping right now. I felt like I was saying like Access or something. Success and Atlas, when I say those two words together, I get like tongue-tied. Anyway, Success makes great games. And, yeah, Drone Tactics is good, man. I know I've talked about it a few times, but it's, I just recently played it, so it's going to come up. Definitely worth tracking down. That game, if you can find it at GameStop, is cheap, but I price checked it on eBay, and I was kind of shocked how much it goes for. I didn't know that there was a demand for it like that, especially considering if you look it up on the internet, there's not much out there about it, so I'm kind of surprised it goes for as much, because it doesn't seem like there's much hype and or demand for it, but what the fuck do I know? Number 2, this game really caught me by surprise. Infinite Space, published by Sega and developed by Platinum Games. And when you think Platinum Games, you think high action, really over the top. Oh my god, Little Crack is sleeping. Thank fucking Beelzebub. It's not. It's actually a really good kind of like spaceship strategy RPG game. Think of like R-Type Command almost, but with more emphasis on like story and characters and RPG-ishness. But really good. I thought the story in this game was fantastic. The gameplay was a lot of fun. It took a long time for me to figure out how to play this game effectively. It's the learning curve is like a fucking astronomical, in my opinion. It does not hold your hand. The tutorial really isn't that helpful. It was a lot of trial and error to figure out how to play this game effectively. But once you get past that, it's just very, very enjoyable. Really like the story. The gameplay is just phenomenal. I mean, the only thing I could really say negative about this game is some of the graphics were, not the greatest, but it's a DS game that came out in... I don't know when it came out. It's a DS game, it's not going to look great, but it doesn't... It looks worse than some other DS games in certain parts. I mean, specifically the ship combat parts, I just think didn't really look that wonderful, but the gameplay is, solid enough that it, totally makes up for it. This was definitely... one of those games I think is going to be a real gem in the DS library when people are looking back on it in the future. Awesome game, highly recommended. And this, unfortunately, like Avalon Code and Drone Tactics, is a bit on the pricey side. even if you can find it at GameStop, it's kind of expensive through GameStop. But I would say it's well worth it, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. It's just definitely a huge departure from what Platinum Games typically does, and I would like to see them return to, if not a sequel, a similar style game, maybe even on consoles. So yeah, Infinite Space, number 2, awesome game. And number 1, man, this game just astounded me how much I enjoyed it. Definitely my favorite of the trilogy on the DS, and it was the one that I put off until last because I honestly thought I was going to like it the least. And that is Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. Fantastic. Really wasn't crazy about the touchscreen mechanics in this game. In fact, I kind of fucking hated them. But it's literally the only negative thing I have to say about the game. I know some people don't like this game and think the story is like really bad. I thought the story was serviceable. It kept me engaged. I thought it was interesting. But that said, you can see the cracks in the facade if you really want to look for it. But I chose not to, and to just enjoy myself, and I did. And gameplay super tight. I think the trilogy on the DS is weird. There's like Portrait of Ruin, which is like almost too easy. And then there's Order of Ecclesia, which I think is most people's favorite, but I just found that game to be so fucking difficult. Like, I'm not amazing at video games by any stretch of the imagination, especially things like platformers and character action games. I am goddamn awful. In Castlevania, I'm not very good at Castlevania games. It's like an endurance test for me to get through these. But, you know, typically I can. I think the only Castlevania game that I own that I haven't finished is Simon's Quest, because that game is just not fucking fair. But anyway, this game kind of is like right in the middle. It's like, you know, not nearly as easy as Portrait of Ruin, but not nearly as hard as Order of Ecclesia, in my opinion. I felt like the porridge on this one was just right. And probably... Man, I would say, like, after, I think Solo Tarova was definitely my favorite DS game, and probably followed by Darkspire, and then I would say probably this. I can't remember how exactly I rated them in, like, my top 5 DS games, but those, you know, Darkspire and this game could probably alternate depending on my mood, but fantastic game in my opinion, and this whole trilogy was recently reprinted, so you can get all these Castlevania games really cheap. Well, not really cheap. Under $20 new, you know what I mean? Which is like, for a great Castlevania game, it's fucking dropping the bucket. So yeah, those are the DS games that I played for the first time this year that really all wowed me for one reason or another. Thor I just kind of threw in because I just think it's such an anomaly considering the other Thor games that came out on all the other platforms are just so fucking bad. I wouldn't say, in all honesty, that it is good as Contra 4 by any stretch, but I think Contra 4 is, you know, like, I think everybody kind of, like, is aware of this game and how good it is, where these other games, I think, could be considered, you know, maybe not as well known with the exception of possibly Castlevania, but I had to put that one in because it's fucking great. But Contra 4, another great game I played this year. The difference between Contra 4 and these other games, though, with the exception of Avalon Code, of course, is I couldn't finish this game. Like, it was too fucking hard. I haven't beaten it. So that's one of the reasons it didn't make the list. I know I said that I haven't beaten Avalon Code, but that's just due to time, not to skill limitation. So, yeah, I couldn't beat this. And another game that I cannot beat the last stage in this game is Little Red Riding Hood Zombie Barbecue. I really like this game. It's kind of sort of a shooter. It's kind of a scrolling shooter. I mean, it is a shooter, but it's weird. It has like some extra mechanics thrown in to kind of spice it up. And I love this game too, but that last fucking level, it just is soul crushing. I can't get through it. But another awesome game. So those two games I didn't feel right putting on there because I can't finish them. Maybe one day I will. I kind of stopped playing both out of sheer frustration, but it's not to say they're bad games. It's just to say that I'm not good at playing video games, especially ones like that are more reflex oriented. Like an RPG, like usually I can sit down and think about it, how to figure it out to win. But like a game like Contra, which is totally skill dependent, and some shooters like Zombie Barbecue, which again totally skill and timing dependent. It's another story with me sometimes, and I'm not gonna pretend like I can fucking finish all these fucking hard ass fucking games because I can't. So yeah, I think those are it. As far as games I really wanted to talk about, there is some other good ones I played this year on the DS. I would, mention this game as well, but it's not really a game. Electroplankton, awesome experience, but I wouldn't really call it a game. Definitely recommend it if you're into music and just weird, tripped out shit, but definitely not a game. But a really cool experience I had on DS this year, and something that, this will be something I play forever. Like, I'm not going to shelf this. Like, I don't know when the next time I'm going to play Infinite Space, if ever, is going to be, but, like, this game will see a lot more play. So, yeah, those are my favorite DS games I've played so far this year. I have a few more on the chopping block that I want to get to this year. I'll show those real quick. Phantasy Star Zero, I would like to get to this year, as well as Rondo of Swords, another success developed game that I want to complete, and another really cool game on the DS, not as good as the original, but still really good, is Rhapsody, that I would recommend, but, I don't think it's as good as the original, so it didn't quite make the list. So yeah, those are them, and this is my tag video that is completely unrelated to the original tag, and I have a sleeping baby on my lap, and I'm gonna make a sandwich. Meatloaf sandwich. You ever make a meatloaf sandwich? I like to take leftover meatloaf and fry both sides, and then melt cheese over it, and put it on a roll with butter and mustard on one side, and then butter and A1 sauce on the other side. And with the cheese, I prefer to use pepper jack cheese and let that shit melt and get all bubbly. So, that's what I'm going to do.